So our objective of this course is to understand ServiceNow IRM fundamentals. That is very important. We're going to cover each and everything. What is policy? What is compliance? What is risk? What is audit? What is the life cycle of each attributes here? We're going to cover everything, right? We can learn that how we can navigate the ServiceNow platform, how we can implement the GRC processes, how we can optimize the risk management, right? And second, we can ensure data protection, security. That's the pre-built thing. We can learn that. We can learn how we can enhance compliance management, or means how we can map controls with different risk or different citation or authority sources. I'll let you know. The terminology here is bit different than Archer. If you go with the Archer, although it is almost same, but I'll let you know, right? Then we learn that how we can efficiently, effectively create workflows, right? Do the automations and customization. Then I'll let you know how we can prepare for the certifications, right? So in the module 1 here, this training is specifically drafted based on the this certification, certified implementation specialist risk and compliance, CISRC. This is the certification of the service. Now you can go, but it has some prerequisites that you need to go for that. First you need to have the ServiceNow CSS administration certification. That I'll let you know how you can crack and where you can learn all the stuff. Right, in GRC standpoint, we're going to learn GRC overview, right? GRC different frameworks, right? Overview, key terminology, technical details, right? Then different use cases, the same use cases which we have in the Archer. Here also we have the same use cases, policy compliance, risk management, audit management. We're going to learn, right? How we can implement that, right? Implementation checklist, what are the different groups and roles, right? Then here the extra thing in the ServiceNow is the entity scoping, which is not there in any other tool. Entity is the unique entity on which we can do the risk management, on which we can do the audits, on which we can apply the policies, on which we can apply the control objectives. So entity is the backbone here. Without entity, we cannot do any activity, right? So entity scoping is very important. We can have some lab practices, right? Then exit modules. What we're going to learn: policy compliance lifecycle, policy compliance architecture, common configuration, customization, right? Policy acknowledgement, then risk implementation methodology, risk lifecycle, risk architecture, risk assessment, how to calculate the risk score. And in the risk assessment, here we have two type of risk, and normal risk and advanced risk, and right, and how to calculate the risk score out of that we're going to cover here. Right? Some lab exercises. Then we have here risk assessments. Assessments are like in this, we called it questionnaires, right? How we can create the questionnaires, how we can configure it, right? We're going to learn here. Then little bit about the integrations. What are the different tools we can integrate? What are the benefits of that? Reporting part, dashboards part, we're going to learn. Then audit management architecture. What is audit? How we can start the audit activities? What are the different tables we have the audits, different modules, different plugins, right? Roles, personas, groups, we're going to learn here. And audit management implementation, how we can implement it, we're going to learn here. And the last is the revisions, right? Module 10. So total we have 10 modules we're going to cover here, and this is the syllabus, right? Any question in that? All right, no worries.
One second, Ankur. So this is going to be about like extensively on the process rather than the development or the configuration part of ServiceNow.
So ServiceNow Archer, don't compare with the Archer, right? In the
Mhm.
Archer is a almost no code platform, right? Where configurations and administration are done by the GRC guys itself, right? ServiceNow has different aspects. Here, if you have little knowledge of ServiceNow administration, then ServiceNow GRC is the different thing. In the GRC, we have the specialized configuration, implementation, life cycle, and everything, right? Here, we don't have the topics like in the Archer, like we can create the rules, actions, calculations, events. Here we don't have. That's a pure administration work, right? For the ServiceNow administration, we have a different thing, ServiceNow CSA, right? Service CSA, Certified System Administration, right? That's a different thing. In that, we need to learn how we can configure the forms, layouts, lists, and notifications and flow designers or workflow editors, different thing, right? Here, this training is more about GRC and IRM, how we can implement the IRM GRC stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. The process related.
Yeah, process,
Okay.
functionality, process related, and how we can implement that. So if you
Yeah.
go in different companies, so you can tell them we can work as a ServiceNow architect, right? The the designation, after this training, you can tell them. So we have a ServiceNow implementation experience. We can work as a ServiceNow architect,
Yeah.
right?
Got it.
If you want to go as a ServiceNow development, then you need to do the ServiceNow development training, which is a different training altogether, right? Although during this GRC training itself, we encounter some administration stuff also in between.
Okay.
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 Yeah. So let's start. Before this slide is all about the GRC IRM fundamentals. You know what exactly GRC is, what is governance, what is risk, what is compliance, what are the benefits of that we're going to cover. Right? This is more about theoretical aspect of the service now GRC or GRC you can say. Right. Before that, before going into this slide, I want to let you know some how we can log in into the tool itself. Right. So you just follow me. There is a website developer.servicenow.com, right? You have to you have to sign up here in this website developer.servicenow.com. Let me put it on the chat. Right? This is the website. You need to sign up. Right? Once you sign up, we can request the instance access. Instance access. Everybody get the instance access. It's a free thing. You will get it, right? And there are what is the latest version going on in the service now? Service now version of the instance changed every 6 months. So right now Washington DC is released. This is the latest one, Washington DC, right? Prior to that it was Vancouver. Prior to that it was Utah. So it's changed every 6 months, and there is slight difference, among these each version. And latest version is Washington DC. Once you request the instance, your instance is ready. You can click on the start building. Then you can log in into the instance directly. So we can practice this. We can do the lab exercises and all. So this is the landing page of the service now. This is the landing page. When we log in, this is the landing page, right? And here, when you click all, in ServiceNow, we need to install plugin of every module. If we are working in the GRC or IRM, we need to install the plugin. If we are working in the ITSM, we need to install the plugin of ITSM. If we are working in the HRSD, we are need to install the plugin of the HRSD. So ServiceNow has also different modules: HRSD, PPM, GRC, IRM, CSM. There are lots of modules ServiceNow has. So that's also one reason, because it ServiceNow has good number of modules which cater a complete organization. So that's why people started using ServiceNow, and its UI is also very good. So let me tell you how we can install the plugin. You can write plugins here. You can see this plugin under system definition. You can see the plugins. Click on the plugins. So here you need to search. I'll provide you guide also. What are the different plugins required for the service now. But simple you can do also for IRM. You can write IRM here and search. You can see here, as I already installed the IRM, that's why in the available it is not showing me the IRM plugin. Otherwise, here you will get the box which named as the IRM, and you can just directly click on the box and you can install it here. As I already installed, you can see with the IRM there are different plugins also get installed. You can see here these are all plugins of the service now get installed. So in your version, you just when you log in, you just need to write IRM. Here you get the IRM box. You just need to click here on the IRM and install it. Simple thing, right? In the IRM, you will get all the modules, either it is policy, compliance, risk, audit, everything. And if you want to install it separately, like you can put here GRC and search. So you can see these are different modules of the GRC for the vendor risk management, for third party, for crisis, for privacy, for business continuity, business impact analysis. All this comes here. Here you can see this integrated risk management. This one I have installed. I clicked here, integrated risk management. In this integrated risk management, everything comes, right? All these things which is under IRM are already installed. We don't need to do anything. I have already installed policy compliance, compliance case management. Everything is installed which is there, which is required for the IRM or GRC. Advanced audit, compliance, risk management, workspace. Everything is installed. Audit management. You can see. So I just click on the IRM and I installed it. I haven't done anything. So for you also, just go into the plugin, search for the IRM and install it. Right? Then you can go here. You can search for the, let me search for the policy. You can see policy and compliance. This module is also installed. This advanced risk portal, risk events. So those people who are in Archer, right? They got drop downs and they can select the modules. Here in the service now, it is different. We need to, write here the name of the module, then it will give us the result. It is little complicated, right? But you will understand gradually when you go through it and you get used to of all the stuff, then you will understand, right? And I'll give you the guide of different modules, what are the different modules we have, so you can understand it, right? So I have already given you the link of the URL. Just sign up over there and install the plugin, right? Any doubt till here, guys? All right. Okay. Now let's go toward the basic GRC slide, which we're going to cover, right? Yeah. So what is ServiceNow IRM? ServiceNow GRC? It's a tool that is designated to enable organization to build an efficient, collaborative enterprise governance, risk and compliance program that you already know, right? With ServiceNow, we can manage risk, we can demonstrate compliance, we can automate business processes and gain visibility into corporate risk and security controls, right? That we can do. So through ServiceNow, what we can do, ServiceNow IRM, we can manage the life cycle of the risk. We can demonstrate the compliance. We can check that how compliant we are. What is the compliance status of different standards, right? How we can automate the business process, right? And we can see that what is the current risk posture, what is the current risk score we have for different risk, right? So we can see everything here. And what are the different controls we already implemented? What are the controls which is not implemented? What is the current status of the controls? We can understand here, right? So most of the people are new here, so you may be confused about this terminology: risk, control, policy, audit, right? You may confuse that what is risk exactly, what is control exactly, what is policy exactly, right? Risk is unwanted event that can affect your organization, right? It's an unwanted event. An event could be anything. It could be possibility that cyber security attack could happen in your organization, right? Which could affect, which could impact, thousands of million of dollars, right? If some cyber attack happened in your organization, that's the risk. So what we need to do to avoid that risk or to mitigate that risk, we have to implement firewalls. We need to implement IPS, IDS, or antiviruses, or different security methods to mitigate that risk, right? So risk is unwanted event, and the methods which we are implementing to control that are controls, right? These controls are methods. Control are the methods which we need to implement to mitigate or to avoid, to control that particular risk, right? In if you take your real time example also, right? If you, let's suppose you need to buy a new house, right? You need to buy a new house. So if you are buying something or buy a new house, you also check some things. So you check that the area is secured, right? If you are buying a new house, the area should be secured. The building material should be optimum, right? And you check that the security is optimum. You check that there is no seepage issue, right? You check lots of things before buying anything, right? So what you are checking? You are checking the risks, right? Checking the risks. Risk could be security. Risk could be seepage. Risk could be uh, uh, safety, and that's come into the security. Building material, right? And lots of stuff you check, right, while buying a house. So these are the risks you check. And if you found that there is possibility of seepage, what you do? You will apply waterproofs or different security or different methods to safeguard it or to remediate that seepage issue, right? Those remediations are called controls. We are controlling that, right? So in the GRC space also, it's a simple thing. We are identifying the risk, and after identification, we to remediate or to control those risks, we are putting our Controls, right? The controls are the safeguarding mechanism to avoid or to remediate the risk before happening. Okay, so don't take it that it's a big deal. Risk is unwanted events, and to safeguard ourselves from those unwanted events, we are applying the controls, right? Similarly, in the organization, uh, you know, there is possibility. Let me tell you one risk. There is possibility that some unauthorized person can enter your organization, right? This is a risk, could enter, right? So what security or what controls you will apply? You will apply the security guards, you will apply the access card, you will provide access card to the employees, only authorized person can enter the room, you will apply the CCTV cameras, right? And lots of stuff to just safeguard your premises for unauthorized access, right? Unauthorized access is the risk, and rest which you applied are the controls. Right? Here also it's the same thing, risk and controls. So risk could be anything in the organization. There could be hundred of risk. Risk could be financial risk also. Risk could be reputational risk also. If something is affecting the reputation organization, those are reputation risk. Something is affecting financial quotient of the organization, those are financial risk. Something are affecting operations of the organization, those are called operation risk, right? Some risk are enterprise level risk, we call it enterprise risk. So risk are of multiple types, but underlying definition is same. And similarly, controls are of multiple types. Process controls. Sometimes we need to create some processes to remediate some risk, right? We create some policies, we create some procedures, we create some guidelines to control some risk, which we call that process risk or non-technical risk. Some non-technical controls, sorry, process controls or non-technical controls. Some times we need to apply some technical controls, like we need to apply some security devices like firewalls, IPS, IDS, SIM, security incident event management, which take all the logs, right? CCTV cameras, those are called technical controls, but the underlying method is same. Those all are used to remediate the risk, right? So this is the risk and control. Any question till here, guys? Clear, Vinay?
Sorry?
Yeah, I'm asking any question.
No, no, no.
All right. Ria, are we good?
Yes, Uncle.
All right, great. Okay, so this is the risk and the controls. Next, policies. What do you guys understand from the policies? Policies, what do you understand? Let me ask someone, right, to make it more interactive. Sakshi, can you tell me what is policy?
Maybe some like steps or action plans.
Right, right. Uh, uh, we need to elaborate it, little more.
So basically a set of actions which organization or the employees need to follow. For example, we have in our organizations like HR policy, leave policy.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, like that.
Yeah. So policies are the guidelines. Policies could be anything. Let me tell you. Policy could be guidelines that everybody has to follow in the organizations, right? Policy could be procedures which tells us how to do a certain task, right? Policy should be, uh, you know, a process also, right? Which tells us about the complete process, how we can do, right? So in the organization, we have different type of policies. We, as Sakshi mentioned, we have HR policies that HR has drafted for us, that this is your uh, when you join your organization, there should be proper screening, right? So under policies, we could have screening policies, we have interview policies, we have, you know, we have leave policies, we have, our shift policies on in which shift timings we need to work. So similarly, the policies could be, policies are not limited to the HR policies. In the organization, you could have risk management policies, right, which tells us that how you can do the risk management process, right? You could have the change management policy. If in any process or in any project, if you need to do some change management, right, some changes are required, then these policies we need to follow, right? This policy will guide us how we can, go through the change management. There is some incident management policy also. If some incident happened, so how we can, remediate those incident, and who will do the activities, what steps we need to take, right? Everything is documented under the policies, right? Who is responsible, what we need to do, what are the steps, right? All these things cover under policies, right? And these policies are very important, right? Very, very important for the organization. So here in the Archer, oh sorry, in the Archer, in the ServiceNow also, we have a policy management system, or we call it policy and compliance, where we can document all the policies, right? Where we can document all the policies, either it is HR policy, either it is risk management policy, or it is hire management policy, it is information security policy, right? It is change management policy or incident management policy. Any policy we need to, if company has bought this service now, so policy and compliance is the part of the ServiceNow IRM solution, and where we can document all our policies. So anybody, any person, any employee can go there and they can check the current policies, right? And in the system, what we can, after documentation of the policies, what we can do, we can document all the policies, right? We can revise policies. Policies get revised every year or every quarter or annually. We revise policies, right? So we can maintain the version of the policy in the system. Apart from that, what we can do in the system or in the service now, we can manage the life cycle. Manage the life cycle. Life cycle means, somebody has drafted the policy. Somebody has drafted the policy. So it doesn't mean that, your HR has drafted the policy and we directly start following that policy. It doesn't make sense, right? There must be some approval process, or a proper life cycle of the policy. Life cycle of the policy means, first it is drafted by your HR, then it will go to the HR manager for the approval, then it will go for the director for the approval. Once director has approved, then finally we can publish the policy for the employees so they can look into that. So in the system, we can manage the complete life cycle of the policy. Right? I'll show you here in the PPT if I have. I'll explain you this structure and everything later on. This one. This is a control plus policy. I'll show you the policy life cycle. 1 minute. This one. Here you can see. First, the policy is in the draft stage. Then it goes into the review stage. Somebody will review it. I created the policy. I'm part of the HR. I created this policy. then it goes to the review stage. Somebody will review it. After reviewing it, it will go to the approval stage, awaiting approval. Somebody will approve it, right? Once it is approved, then it goes to the publish stage. When it is published, everybody can see that. Everybody can look into it and see what is the policy. Once it is retired, the next stage is retired. We can also retire the policy, right? The policy is not in use anymore. So we can retire this policy, right? So this is the complete life cycle of the policy we can have in the system. And this is not stick to this. This is the out of box thing, draft, review, awaiting review, published. We can modify this workflow as well. To modify this workflow in the ServiceNow, we have we can configure the workflows or we can modify it. Here to modify and change the workflow, we have 2-3 options. We can use the flow editors. We can use the flow designers, right? We can use this to configure the workflows. But don't worry about these flow editors and flow designers. Just concentrate that a different life cycle of the policy we can manage in the system, right? And these different actions we can do here in the policy life cycle. If into the system you want to see, here go into the policy, search for the policy. I search for the policy. You can see these are the different policies we have in this system. These are the numbers. These are the policy. Here in the ServiceNow, this view, I have opened this policy. This view, we called it list view, where all the things get listed. So these are the different policies: change management policy, environment and control management policy, facility management policy, remote access control policy, operating system policy, business record policy. Lots of policies have listed here, right? And we can create the new policy by click new button. Right here you can see the workflow: draft, review, awaiting approval, published, retired. This is the workflow here we have to follow. And downwards, these are the fields: name of the policy, right? Let me put it like HR policy, type of the policy. As I mentioned you, policy could be a simple policy, it could be procedure, it could be standard, it could be plan, it could be checklist, it could be framework or template, right? Policy is something guidelines that we need to follow, and guidelines could be a procedure also, a standard also, a plan also, a checklist also, which we are following, right? So these are the types. You can select here who is owning this policy, right? We can select here who is the owner of this policy, right? Here the like I am creating the HR policy, so the HR should be the owners, right? So we can create new group also. This creation of groups and users are the separate thing we can create, and obviously we can put it here. We can put it into the valid role. Then we can see here the group. For now, I'm just putting here any name, change management, right? Who is the owner? So these are the users we have in the system. Let's suppose able tutor. He is the owner of the policy, right? This policy is valid from which date to date? We can put it here. This policy is valid from this one. This policy is valid till this one, right? And if there is any parent, policies could be derived from the, from the main parent policy also. It is possible, right? One policy could have multiple childs also. So here we can select that if it is there, means it is not mandatory. If it is there, that this policy is derived from which one, right? This is HR policy. So if there could be some parent policy also, you can select. It's up to you. I'm just putting here change management, right? Description of the policy. Approver you can select from here. reviewers and contributors you can select, and description you can put it here, policy text and everything, right? And downwards also we have few steps which we cover later on. Here I'm just putting HR policy. Text also you can put, and save it. The following fields are mandatory, sorry. I'm just adding myself. And you can save. This policy is saved, right? Then you have this button. You can further, as per the approval, it will go for the review. Then request, once you click the request review, a task would get generated for the reviewer. The reviewer will review it. Once the reviewer will review it, it will go to the approver for approving it. Once the approver will approve it, it will published. So this is the complete life cycle of the policy we have here in the uh, system. So if in real world, right, real world, somebody ask you or you got the project, right? You need to implement policy and compliance module for them, for your client. Then what you will do? How will you start? First, you will have the access of the system. You will ask them, provide us the access of the system. Then you will install the relevant plugins, which I told you, GRC or IRM plugin or policy compliance only plugin, right? Once you install that, you will get the policy module in the system automatically, right? Once you got the policy module, right, then you will get this policy, and here you can fill the field. There is a life cycle of that. You can tell them this is the life cycle. If you want to modify this life cycle, right, if you want to modify this life cycle, you can ask them what is your approval level. Right now here in the out of box we have reviewers, we have approvers, right? But if you have a different approver mechanism, let us know. Based on their process, you can configure this approval process or you can modify it, right? You can modify it. Here also, to modify something to field, here you can right click here on any field and you can configure dictionary or configure thing. You can configure here. Let me show you. Here you go. This is the gray line here. When you right click here, right, you can save this record. And if you want to configure this layout, right, this is altogether not related with the IRM. This is, I'm just telling you how you can modify the layout of this policy, this form. This is a form. In the ServiceNow, we call it form, where all the fields are listed, right? If you want to modify it, just right click on the gray line, configure here. Here you can click on the form builder or form design or form layout. Let me click on the form layout. Right? It is showing that this policy section is in the GRC policy and compliance management, but we are in global scope. This is very important, in the ServiceNow. If you want to modify something, if you want to modify some form, you must be in the same module, right? Right now I'm in the global, but we should be in the policy and compliance management application module where we can modify it. So either you can click directly here, policy and compliance management application, or you can go here and here you can change the scope. Search for the policy, right? And click here. It's clicked or not, sorry. Yeah, the scope is changed. Then you can modify the layout. So here in the left hand side, these are the fields available, right? Total available fields. Here are the selected fields which are selected over the form. If you want to select more fields, then just click here and put it here. It will come over the layout. If you want to create a new field, just add the field name here, right? I'm just new policy, and this type of the field, different type of field we can create: script, string, date, list, long list. In the ServiceNow there are multiple types of field, but generally we create only a few fields: string, time, true, false, list view, list field. Like we have the drop downs, list is the drop down field, right? Attachment field, due date field, or decimal field, or multiple fields we have there. We can select any field. I'm just creating new policy. We can click add. Then this field is created here in the new policy section, in the here in the available section, and just we need to put it on the layout. Right? This is just configuration of the form. If you want to modify the form, simultaneously here, right? So these are the options you can use. But forget about it. I'm just telling you the administration stuff little bit so you can relate it. But out of box module, you will get it like this. This is the life cycle you need to follow, and you can create a policy, right? So you can go backward here. One minute. Why it is opening? Or you can go from here also. From the history, go to the policies which we have opened. So this is the list and HR policy we just created, right? This is the one which we created. Right? So any doubt, guys, till here? So hope everybody is following me. Any question you can ask me, guys. Don't feel like you're interrupting or something. Am I audible?
Hey,
So,
hey, Ankur.
Ankur, okay, yeah, Binash, you continue.
Yeah, no worries. So, hey, Ankur, this is Abhinash. I just wanted to ask one question related to the pricing model that ServiceNow follows. So, do you have any idea what exactly the pricing model they follow? Because I know in Archer, they follow a license-based use case pricing model, if I'm not wrong. So, just wanted to know what the pricing model ServiceNow follows for any of the clients. Like, if you can
So
just
for pricing module, every they sell like this. ITSM, every module has its own pricing. So if for IRM specific, let me tell you, they are right now nowadays they are not selling any module separately. They are
yeah,
just directly selling IRM module, right? If anybody needs to buy GRC, they will ask us, you need to buy the IRM licenses, right?
okay,
So
okay.
for how many users they will ask you, uh, it is 500 or 1000 or something, and there would be separate license for the IRM. So in the IRM, you will get all the modules: policy, compliance, risk, audit, right?
Okay, so it is a pay per user model, right? Depending on the number of users the clients will have, on that
So,
basis, the client will be paying them. Okay, makes sense.
yes, yes, yes.
Pay per use model. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They give discounts also if you have good relation with them, right? They have their own dedicated relationship team in every city. Mostly they sit in the Mumbai here in the India. In Delhi also, one or two guys are here. You can contact them. They will tell you everything. They have their own slides and everything already pre-built. go to market strategies and all, so they can tell you what could be the prices, and you can ask for the discounts also.
Yeah.
And for the implementation companies, like services now has lots of partners, right? If you know that, lots of implementation partners. They have partners like Deloitte, KPMG, and many more, many more organization. So they go with the partners. If you have the client, they ask you that you just reach out to your partner, tell them that this is the implementation cost plus the license fees we will get from the service now, and combined package we create, and we create a proposal and send to them. So this way means, partner firms reach out to the clients nowadays. Yeah, Vinay.
Uh, on the licensing part, Ankur, I just want to know, like, I'm just comparing with the Archer, like, not only the out of box use cases, we can leverage the, right, Archer, we can leverage it for like other processes also, if we can custom configure the forms or like the applications. Is it the same case for this ServiceNow IRM, like, or just we have to stick for these four modules of policy, audit, uh, compliance, and one more thing, I
So
think.
yeah, good question. So in the service now, the customization possibility is little less. They only provide 5 tables. Here, the structure is based on the tables. So they only provide 5 more tables, which what I know. Apart from the auto box, they provide 5 tables. You need to, if you have separate, activity, you need to configure that you can go for these tables. If you need to create new application or new module, that you can use these 5 tables. Apart from that, you need to go for the out of box. They also, when you buy the license, they specifically tell you that you mostly stick to the out of box kind of stuff, right? Most often, they ask us that if you need to modify some workflows, you can modify it, some notifications, some questionnaires, little bit forms, some new field you can configure, but they will not encourage you to create altogether a new table. They will not encourage you. They will ask you to go with the out of box module as well, because their customization is not that much easy like Archer.
Ah, okay, got it.
Customization is not easy.
Yeah, that's what,
Customization,
like,
yeah.
yeah, Archer is the still most flexible one, but yeah,
Mm.
yeah, in that flexibility, Archer is like superior, but
Yes, yes.
everything like recent tools like OneRest or this service now, these are catching up for other reasons, obvious other reasons. Yeah,
Yes, yes. Obviously, integration for integration, or for UI
yeah,
designers, for
yeah.
their capabilities of user interaction. Something it's in night. If you compare with the Archer, Archer is more admin friendly. You know, lots of things you can do without coding. But in ServiceNow, lots of thing you need to do coding for that, right?
Yeah, yeah, got it.
Coding is required here. In Archer, if you go, like, you need to create, you need to, uh, you know, uh, segregate. You need to segregate some data. This entity can see only these records. Second entity can see only other records, right? This kind of
Mhm.
scenario we got. So you can configure easily through automatic record conversion, right? In Archer,
Yeah, yes,
but
that's very
yeah,
dynamic.
right. But here in ServiceNow, you need to write lots of code, client side scripting, server side scripting for that,
Mhm.
right?
So,
But
Ankur,
here,
which means coding background is must for service now, is it?
coding background, at certain level, it depends. It also depends, right? Because in ServiceNow, we have lots of designations. You can go for the, uh, functional roles also, or the roles which has only the administration capabilities, like architects, or business the ServiceNow normal administrations or business analysts, right? Or functional consultants. Those roles are also there in the ServiceNow. But in the Archer, you should be, one man army. Here you need, different skill set for different things.
So for ServiceNow developer, basically you need definitely need coding background, right? For
Yes, yes.
developer.
For ServiceNow developer, you need coding background. You must have understanding of client scripting, server-side scripting, script include, because here sometimes we for small rule and action also you need to write script. That's why gradually the ServiceNow is going towards no code uh, kind of stuff, but right now they are not. So you need to know little coding if you want to go into the developer background, right? Although they encourage you for the out of box module and configuration, but sometimes you need that.
Yeah, got it.
But for if you're going into the GRC IRM, as a consultant, so you don't need to tell them that I know coding or what. ServiceNow GRC IRM concepts are important. How we can implement that. What are the things we need to know? What are the different tables, roles, users? These are important. Out of box implementation, little customization that you can do. You can easily learn flow designers, workflow editors, right? And some little coding also you can easily understand client side scripting to set some field value to set, right? To dynamically set some things you can do. There are some things here also without coding. You can hide some field. You can make some field read only. These you can do.
One more question, Ankur. What kind of script ServiceNow accepts? Like in Archer, we use JavaScript, HTML, other type of scripting language. So is
JavaScript,
there?
JavaScript.
Okay.
JavaScript is there. It's like ServiceNow customized JavaScript. So they have their own libraries also you can use, but JavaScript is the language. All right. So this policy we are talking about, policies, and that once policy we have created, right? So to check that we created the HR policy or we created the change management policy, right? So with the policy, we need to check that this policy is implemented correctly in the organization or not. So for that, we need to implement some controls also with the policy, right? That's why the complete module name is policy and compliance, right? So we need to check that the controls to implement these policies are implemented or not, right? Understood my point?
Yeah.
So change management, I have created this policy change management. So to implement this policy, right? Controls are important, right? So here, when you go downwards, we have different, you can see these tabs. We called it related lists in the service now. We called it related list. So here you can see the control objective. So with the policy, we can link some control objectives, right? Control objectives tells us the path, direction, methods to implement that policy. Control objective tells us the path and direction, right? So here you can see the two buttons, new or edit. From the new, you can create a new control objective, and from the edit, you can link the existing controls objective. Control objective is nothing, it's a control to implement that policy, right? So let's suppose uh, change management policy we created. So to implement the change management, what controls you will implement, right? You will create some processes. that there must be CAB meeting, there must be some change processes, there must be some change manager who will lead the policy. So these are the controls, right? So we will link these. There must be some if we are change management, so there must be some data backup, data backup procedure. There must be risk management procedure for the change management policy. If somebody knows the change management process, they must know that if we are going into the CAB meeting or change management process, we have to follow certain prerequisites. Prerequisite means we need to implement certain controls to implement the change management process. Let's suppose in our ServiceNow or Archer, we need to change something. We need to create a new application and need to change workflows, right? Change workflows. So in the big organization, you cannot directly change the things. You cannot directly change the things in the production. You have to you need to go with the change management process. So to change management process, you will raise a change management request, right, which will go to the change management owner. He will approve that change. There must be some meeting. He will invite you in that meeting. In the meeting, he will ask you if if you are applying these changes, what would be the impact into the existing application? Is there any impact? You will say that there is no impact. So you need to provide some controls that there is no impact. We have already taken the backup, or there is rollover methods or different things. We will apply that, right? He will ask that, have you done risk management? So you will tell that this is the risk management process we are following. These are the steps. These are the controls. So with each policy also, you can apply the controls to effectively implement it, right? So for now, I'm just adding this data recovery control or control objective with this change management process, and I'm just saving it. Right. So for this policy, this is the control objective we'll implement. Right. This is the control objective. Let it open. So what is this control objective? Establish and maintain data recovery practices sufficient to restore in scope. Right. If some incident happened or something happened, there must be set process or practices to recover that data. Right. So our objective of this course is to understand ServiceNow IRM fundamentals. That is very important. We're going to cover each and everything. What is policy? What is compliance? What is risk? What is audit? What is the life cycle of each attributes here? We're going